These Election 2021 candidate interviews are sponsored by Edmonds College, Office Tech, and James Russell PLLC, Certified Public Accountants and Business Advisors. Welcome everyone to the latest in our series of interviews with candidates for Lynnwood City Council and Lynnwood Mayor. I am here tonight with Shirley Sutton, who is running for City Council Position 1. Shirley, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Glad to be here.
All right, we're going to start with a question that gets down to the basics, and that is, what experiences would you bring to the council and how are they relevant to being an effective council member?
Well, experiences that I have are many. The most recent, of course, is that I was also on the city council about 3-4 years ago. And I learned really a lot about the governance and how interactive we are or should be with our state and federal level government. I bring to you a lot of years of experience. I've worked 40 years in different ways. I've been I earned my degree, bachelor's degree in law and justice from Central Washington University, and my master's in education from Heritage University in Toppenish, Washington. I'm the oldest of 6 children and always was their mother because I was the oldest. So I learned how to handle kids at an early age. I've always been in contact with the community. My grandmother was a community activist in Yakima, Washington. And of course, we lived in a segregated neighborhood. And it was not the most pleasant, but we all made the best of it. Everybody watched each child. So I learned how to really be engaged with other cultures. I've learned all the years, I'm still learning. So what I bring to this is a diverse talents and skills, and also knowing what the city council is already about, and being able to come and be another contributor towards helping our community members feel safe, feel that they are really, really listened to, and that we really will take action. And that's been something that's been missing for the last couple of years. And so I want to do that. I'm also engaged in several boards that are here around Lynnwood and Edmonds and Everett. I also do a lot of freelancing for other folks that need resources and they don't know exactly how to go and access them. And I also bring my muscles, because I have helped move elders to other accommodating residences that they can, utilize for what their needs are, being elderly and having been in wheelchairs and crutches and things like that. So that's who I am. That's a lot more than I always really tell people, but I think it's important for people to know that I'm very honest and I love talking about equity and diversity, and that's how I was raised. We all helped each other, no matter how poor we were. So that's what I bring to the table. I have worked with the Burlington Northern for 20 years and collectively in the educational arena for 20 years.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because I remember we were talking before we started about us first having an interview about 10 years ago when you first ran for office. And I had remembered in my head that I thought you said you worked for the railroad. And that's just fascinating to me. And not many people can say they work for the railroad. That's pretty cool.
It was fun. And it was a real rigorous learning for me, because within that 20 years, I held different types of upward promotions and learned a lot about money managing, just the nuances of the regulations and the rules that govern train traffic and labor relations and so forth. So I do bring a lot to the table, and I am very, very efficient about what I do, and I say what I do.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Shirley. We'll go on to the second question, which is, Lynnwood has been cited as a model for regional growth. How does Lynnwood grow while still retaining the character of its existing neighborhoods?
Well, in my 15 plus years that I've already lived here, I've seen a lot of changes that are happening, some not so good. I think it is important to remember that we need to bring everybody to the table. Everyone needs to have a voice about what it is they like about Lynnwood, what can be changed. We also have a mission statement and a vision statement that I think needs to be updated with our community members. And so to me, those are important issues, because if we all are going to be on the same side to make our Lynnwood City a lot more progressive, then we need to have those other ideas come to the table as well. Not just the council, not just the mayor, but our community.
Okay, thank you. What ideas do you have for addressing the city's homelessness issues?
Well, there's a lot of information out there that is really key to how we do it, but when do we do it? If we keep knocking down the lands, or I should say selling our lands to contractors who doesn't really have they don't have a concept of what our communities are. They just come in and they tear down a building, they build up these all high rises that hardly anybody can afford. And that's what I'm seeing. Those that are already housed, they're being pushed out because of the rises in cost, and also property and the taxes. And we cannot continue to do that. We've got to come together and get our city back to where it was and more. So it's not back to where it was 20 years ago, but what it is, take it from 20 years and say, these are the changes we need to make. We need to come and pay attention to the small businesses. How do we make them much more profitable than what they are now, especially with the pandemic? We need to come together with our community members and find out what it is they need within their community. I walk on broken, for instance, I walk on broken sidewalks, and I'm amazed how a person in a wheelchair, how can they get around if they're on, if they're not, the sidewalks are not taken care of. That graffiti is just tearing up our community, and that's what I hear from the elders. They're afraid to go out at night. They just don't feel safe. They're worried about being pushed out of their homes that they've raised their children in for all these years. And so those are just some things that I think need to be addressed as soon as possible.
Okay, thank you very much. And you just addressed this a little bit in your last answer, but how would you help Lynnwood businesses who have been impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic?
Well, before I left the council last time, I was really trying to ferret out how many contracts had the city provided to women of color, women, period, and our veterans. And I was just starting to ferret all that out. And that would be one thing I think that we're going to really, really hit hard on, because of the fact that our small businesses are the ones that are keeping us mostly in business, really. And they are the hardest hit, and especially if they are individual businesses, and they are not really necessarily called upon a lot for big business, take care of big business with big companies. But we do have to rein that in and I start identifying what changes can be made on a local level that's going to make it easier for them not only to be awarded some of these contracts, but also be part of the community as they should be.
Okay, thank you very much. Do you have ideas for better engaging residents who are not traditionally involved in city government?
I think what happens with what I have done in the past is that first the person has to show up. They have to be active in their communities, go to some of the things that happen in the actually respective neighborhoods, make themselves known. And then when the trust is there, then the dialogue should really, really turn for them to be more active, because I'm called by elders not often, but when they call me and they need a ride to a doctor, I'm there. They call me, they want me to take them grocery shopping, I'm there. So that's what has to happen when it comes to being a council member. You touch so many other people and so many other diverse cultures that it's important to build upon those cultures and to build upon that diversity that we already have here in our city and other places as well.
Okay, thanks a lot. Name the top challenge you see for Lynnwood in the next 5 years, and how would you address it?
What was it? The
top challenge you see for Lynnwood in the next 5 years and how you'd address it?
Thank you. Well, that's a broad question, because as someone in my vision, housing definitely, affordable housing definitely is one of the challenges. And it takes legislation, it takes people coming to the table, as I've mentioned before, and really working on one vision. We don't need a lot of surveys going on. We paid people to come in and do these horrendous, costly surveys. We know what has to happen. The individuals that we are being elected by, they know what has to happen. And then I think it's important to remember that. No one is an island. This is not meant to be one person show. This is a cooperative. And I think it's important for us to remember that as a council people, that I have not seen for the last couple, 2 or 3 years, that specialness with even our people coming to the meetings when we were able to have the meetings. And we as council members, I guess, really truly need to start understanding that we're here for the people. We're not here for ourselves. And that's one of the things I think we can kind of amongst ourselves ferret out, make sure that we're doing what our individuals who elect us want us to do. I think also being a little bit more intentional would be another way of changing things. People are generally not used to having they're not able to come, number one, council meetings, because if they're family, they don't have the wherewithal or the money to hire babysitting or to hire childcare in order to come to our council meetings. And that's where we hear all the information. I still think we should have, the other thing is have a call-in service where people, if they really have an idea or they have a complaint, they can call in and feel free to tell us what that is, and then give some direction as what they'd like to have, how they like to have it resolved.
Okay, thanks. As a council member, how would you address concerns from marginalized populations who might not feel safe living in Lynnwood?
I work with a couple of other groups. One is Unidos, which is a Hispanic, a Latino group that look at what is going on, particularly with ICE within our city, and helping those that really are to try and understand what they can do as to protect themselves. I work with other groups. I mentor other individuals as well. So I always say the best thing to do again is have that relationship already established, or have someone you know that have that relationship for any group, marginalized group or whatever, that you can be mentored by. I think that that's another way of being able to bring people together and move forward. We talk about racism, we talk about segregation, we talk about all the public safety issues. These are things that just more or less just put barriers in between us. It's just another excuse for not doing the right thing. And I think right now we need to start doing the right things.
All right, thanks. This is a fun one. Pretend you are talking to a business owner who is considering relocating their business to Lynnwood. Give us your 30-second sales pitch for why the city is a good place for business.
Well, we are, first of all, Lynnwood is a welcoming city. That was part of our mission and vision. And we have a budding of young families, number one. We've got good shopping areas that are well known and well patronized by other people coming in from to our area to shop. We've got wonderful scenery in terms of the fact we're close to the ocean. And so those things tend to be attractive, especially if they're for young families. We have a clean city most of the time, which is good too. And safety wise, it's pretty much of a safe city, but we just have to make it look like the safe city it used to be. And there's a lot of other activity around us. Lynnwood is right in the midst of a number of other areas. Camping, people love camping, especially if you have young families. That's easy to get to and very low cost. We have great restaurants. I tell you, some of these restaurants I think must have been coming really out of New York to our blessed city of Lynnwood. We have good medical care, good medical availability. We have a good educational system. I can't see why they wouldn't want to come to and live here in Lynnwood. It's just wonderful. I love Lynnwood.
That's great. That was a great sales pitch. All right, this is the final statement from you that I told you about at the beginning, and that is you have your time to tell voters why they should vote for you.
Well, I'm hoping that they would look at me and say, okay, I think I like this person. She tends to say and do, and that's what the type of person we need now. We are not the same Lynnwood as we were 5 years ago, and we will never be the same Lynnwood. So we need to bring in ideas, and I have ideas. I'm very energized about the fact that now we have our light rail coming in, and it's a real visible that now you cannot deny that that's going to have a great impact, hopefully a very profitable impact on Lynnwood and its residents. So we need to prepare for that, not wait till it happened and then start preparing. We need to start preparing now so we can be there and be proud of what we've done for ourselves and our community.
That's great. I want to say thank you. Let me try that again. I want to say thank you for joining us and taking the time. I know how hard it is to be campaigning and have one more thing to do. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Yeah, I wish you the best of luck in the campaign.
Thank you. Oh, and the other thing that I would do, I've just remembered, we have a number of Boeing aerospace people that want to be here, so they're trying to stay here. I think it would be a great idea for us to pull those ideas together, contact those folks, and start a department of entrepreneurship. That's hard for me to say, because we do have a lot of individuals, as I say, small businesses that could really benefit from somebody like that or something like that, whatever it looks like. But it would be strictly to help those small businesses, those women-owned businesses, veterans-owned businesses to thrive. And that takes energy. And I know everybody doesn't like necessarily do that, but I would like to see something that's inspiring. And I think that would inspire those individuals. Thank you.